Thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this next panel discussion on AI-driven cybersecurity in communication, protecting integrity and trust. Welcome, all of you, and thank you for joining us before lunch. We want to hold off on your appetites for now because we have got a very exciting hour coming on. If it's anything to go by what I've been talking to these individuals about before we came onto the stage, hopefully it will whet your appetites, it will give you food for thought, and will leave you with many more questions and ideas to take away from it. This is all about the business of protection. It is about the levers behind what is going on, the exciting stuff, the front face, what everyone is enjoying about AI. We need to talk about what are the threats potentially, and also the risks. My name is Miranda Shunker. I'm a BBC journalist. I've been a broadcaster of every UK network for the last 20 years. I've worked on many, many stories, but I think AI is one story where people are just walking straight into it. They are children perhaps sleepwalking into it. They don't know any different, but we are all fascinated by it, and it is a dynamic and challenging environment in equal measure. And I have to say my thanks go to the Directorate of Communications for supporting this event. I arrived yesterday and seeing some of the conversations going on, the discussions going on here. It is impressive, it is insightful, and it is thought-provoking in so many ways. We're going to have more of that now. And of course, many people are fascinated by these opportunities with AI, of course. But there are others who are also concerned about where it might lead us and the threats that it might pose. But what is important is gatherings like this, bringing together experts and voices from all different backgrounds to discuss these key questions and challenges with the advance of AI, which continues to inspire. So wonderful to have you all with us over this next hour. And we have a panel of distinguished experts, as you can see here. I won't bother reading their names and titles out. You can see it for yourself there. But they are all experts in their field, and they can all share their insights on the different aspects of this, particularly on cybersecurity. But first of all, what do we mean when we actually talk about AI-driven cybersecurity? Is this the new normal that is facing us now? Or is it, frankly, another tool of so-called machine learning? Well, the accepted notion of AI is that it enables cybersecurity software to learn from past experiences, improve over time by identifying trends and alerting on potential threats by malicious actors. But actually, is this just the tip of the iceberg? Could we see AI now eventually outdoing cybersecurity itself as we know it? That is a question for all of you that we will come back to. But obviously protecting the trust and integrity of information we share, from both the personal to the public, as well as that commercially sensitive material, has never been so important and, of course, valuable. I can talk about the media landscape. It's on the move, or on the run, some may say. AI is a talking point in every newsroom I work in, and the news stories about its latest innovation are a favourite among audiences, young and old. I think we can all talk about that, and we know that in every country that we work in. But certainly the speed and the scale of this threat on cybersecurity is an ever-growing challenge, as I'm sure our panel can testify today. When a strike hits, it can take down global systems. It affects social media networks within hours. We've seen all that. We've seen the news reports. It's highly disruptive, it's reputationally very damaging, and it can be commercially destructive. How can we shield against them with these new smart technology? That is a big question, and one we'll be trying to answer today. It's also about the biggest developments in the field of AI, how it can help and enhance these real-time threat detections in communications systems. So thank you very much to my panel for joining us on this, and we'll be getting into so many different subjects. We'll try and, I've told them not to take up too much time. We'll try and have a bit of a game of tennis about this. But if I can just start by asking for your initial thoughts on this particular area, how you are connected to it, and where do you think this, in terms of AI-driven cybersecurity, is going, particularly in the communications sector? And if I can start with first you.
Sure. Hello everyone, my name is Abdullah Yasin Nur. I'm a computer science professor and cybersecurity researcher. So my thoughts about AI is, like everyone is talking about AI is the future. No, it is not correct. AI is right now actually, not in the future. Like future, of course, we will have AI, but right now, AI is everywhere. So we need to be careful. In terms of the cybersecurity field, there are many things that we can discuss, like in the defense side and also in the offense side as well, like good guys and bad guys. This will be always a coin toss, like the two sides of the coin. We will have good guys who will want to defend the systems. We will have bad guys who will attack us. So utilizing AI is basically in the both sides. Attackers will use AI to generate a more sophisticated attacks. And in return, as defenders, we will come up with different solutions to solve these attacks. So, yeah, AI is right now in our life, in cyberspace, in defenses. We use lots of AI solutions like intrusion detection systems, advanced level. So this type of stuff, yeah, my thoughts are AI is right now, not in the future. So we need to be ready right now, not for the future, right now.
Thank you for that. Given that you work for a university, we'll come back to some of those educational points, young people, protection in terms of the academic space. We'll come back to that in a moment. But Andreas, you work for a research group. What is your insight in this particular area?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everybody. My name is Andreas Windisch. First, let me thank the organizers for the invite and for the opportunity to talk here today at this fantastic venue. It's really amazing, such a beautiful city. I'm heading a department at the second largest research and technology organization based in Austria called Research. My department is called Intelligent Vision Applications. It has been in existence for decades now, and it focuses on image analysis and analysis of data that comes from sensory input. As such, it has been exposed to the developments of AI and machine learning from very early on, because machine vision and computer vision and AI go back a long way. So we were early adopters of this technology from a research perspective. And nowadays we're active in a very broad variety of activities when it comes to AI, among them also cybersecurity and AI. How can AI be used in cybersecurity to make communication networks secure? I'm also Chief Science Officer of the independent think tank AI Austria, based in Vienna. We work closely with the government and also try to kind of foster the adoption of AI in Austria, bring it into the ecosystem, small and medium enterprises. And this is also what the RTO does, what Research does. So we try to bridge the gap from fundamental university research, where you have technology on a very low readiness level, and kind of carry it over into the industry so they can actually use this technology, which is a challenge, but it is a beautiful job because you work in all sorts of domains, you meet so many people, it's very exciting. Specifically today, I want to talk about, the panel is about communication networks and cybersecurity. So we are looking into strategic projects that deal with critical infrastructure, in particular water distribution systems. So those systems are crucial, of course, because they provide us with a resource that we all need, with water. And in the past, there were actually cyber attacks against such systems. And everything nowadays is connected. So you have like cyber physical systems, you have sensors, you process this information to gather what's going on in your system, and you make decisions based off of that. Now, if you're a malicious actor, you can start manipulating sensor data, which happened in the past, and interfere with those systems such that, for example, toxic levels of substances become an issue in those systems. So this is what I want to talk about today. I'm very excited about meeting you, about being here. And please, if you want to discuss, not only for business purposes, but just to have an exchange, ping me up on LinkedIn, and I'd be very happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Excellent. And Ellen Wasselina, you're from the Trocadero Forum Institute. Andreas mentioned there, this is not just an issue for big business, is it?
You're absolutely right, Miranda, and thank you. Günaydın, merhaba. I'm very happy to be here, back in Istanbul. Teşekkürler. I'm very happy to be back. I was at Stratcom invited and honored to be invited last year. And I'd like to sort of pick up what we left off. If you remember, I was speaking on a panel about hybrid threats. Now, if you look at what the hybrid threats are, and the number one risk, and we just heard about misinformation and disinformation, it's the top risk of the 10 risks. And of course, we want to talk about, and Miranda, you're absolutely right, that it's not only for big businesses, but it's also for smaller businesses if they can afford it and if they have the talent. So how can AI, for example, be employed to ensure the integrity of information in digital channels, for example? You know, I was doing some research before I came here, and I always love to prepare, and thank you again for your kind invitation to the Director of Communications and all the team that have been so kind to me every time I come to Istanbul. I must say I'm delighted to come back again to speak to you. My research showed that in the Edelman Trust Barometer in 2024, people trust businesses more, Miranda, 59%, than NGOs or non-governmental organizations, 54%, or even less so, very interesting, for governments, 50%, to make sure that innovations are safe and beneficial. This is where we're going to run into a problem, actually, because not everybody will benefit from it. Ernst & Young said that organizations have to incorporate integrity to their agenda into their AI use strategy. And you know, I'm going to talk about something that nobody's talked about at this conference is sustainable development, but I'll pick it up at the end of my introduction. I'd just like to make just a few more points, if I may, Miranda. The responsibility and integrity of and confidence in an organization's use of AI falls largely on the shoulders of legal and compliance, with the support and collaboration of cross-functional teams, as I believe our gentlemen have already mentioned. And so the COVID pandemic really taught us a lot, right? How we worked from home, how everything was based in the cloud, how we became digital nomads, and of course the risks, as Andreas, you rightly mentioned. Hackers who disrupted businesses, consumer services, phishing, exfiltration of data, and as you rightly said, there were even pipelines that were interrupted, water sources that were interrupted. And I just, if I may, Miranda, give you some figures about some breaches and what the cost of a breach is. Any idea? Where do you think the most expensive breach is per sector in the economic sector? Anybody know? What do you think, which economic sector is targeted the most? Healthcare. Who said healthcare? Raise your hand. Thank you. So healthcare, a breach in healthcare cost per breach $9.1 million. 9.1 per breach. And so I just want to just put some context into this about numbers and what the breaches cost, because it's also interruption of services, it's also your reputation. As you can see, I'm more or less coming from a business perspective. But just to say, I'll just give you the sectors that were targeted, as you rightly mentioned, Andreas. Energy. A breach in energy sector costs $5.4 million, one breach. Technology sector, 5.5. Industry, 5.6. Who said finance? My friends over there. $6.1 million per breach. So I guess, Miranda, I'll just say that AI can help by transforming cyber defense operations and reinforce network security and monitoring 95% of network communications, 90% of endpoint devices, and vulnerabilities and malicious activities. And I'll just add one more figure to that, that AI can help detect threats that take on an average of how many days do you think a threat takes to identify? You're the specialist. 270 days, Miranda, to identify a threat. So AI can help increase 30% faster to identify these breaches, and return on a security investment can increase by 40%. I'll stop there.
Okay, well, Ellen, thank you. That is all really interesting stuff, and certainly we love the numbers and to hear how it really affects real-life businesses, big and small. Mahir Yüksek, you are the founder of Marlinix. You work with a lot of clients. What is your insight into this area, because you're working effectively on the front line with them?
Thanks so much. Hi, hello, everybody. My name is Mahir, and also I'm a cybersecurity engineer. Also, first of all, I want a special thanks to dear attendees. They are coming abroad to our country. Thank you for attending, and also thank you so much. Welcome to Turkey. Welcome to Stratcom Summit 2024. Also, I want to explain it, but I want to talk to my own language, if it's possible for you. Değerli katılımcılar, hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Herkesi saygıyla, sevgiyle selamlıyorum. Bu konu özellikle siber güvenliğin felsefesiyle ve yapay zekanın felsefesiyle doğru orantılı olduğu için biraz daha derin bir açıklama yapmak istedim. Birkaç gündür uzun bir yolculuktan sonra biraz açıkçası yorgunluğum var. Kendimi Türkçe daha iyi ifade edebileceğimi düşündüğüm için bu konuda Türkçe açıklama yapmak istiyorum. 14 yıldır siber güvenlik alanında çalışıyorum. Bunun 12 yılı kamu kurumlarında geçti. Başbakanlık, Cumhurbaşkanlığı, Savunma Sanayi Başkanlığı olmak üzere. Sonrasında kendi şirketimi kurup ticari hayata devam ettim ve hem kamu tarafında hem özel sektör tarafında siber güvenliğin yıkıcı etkilerini çok yakından görmüş biriyim. Birkaç örnekle açıklamak isterim. Biz aslında hackerları, kaba tabirle hacker olarak adlandırdığımız saldırganların 1990'lı yıllarda ilk karşımıza çıktığı örneklerle iştigal olduk. 90'lı yıllarda hacker demek bireysel motivasyona sahip olan, kendi ismini duyurmak isteyen, örneğin evsiz hacker Tenenbaum gibi, işte dünyanın en iyi hacker olduğunu iddia eden, top 5'te olan hackerların kendi isimlerini duyurma çabası gibi bireysel motivasyonlarla gerçekleştirilen hacking vakalarıyla öğrenmiş olduk. Fakat 2000'li yıllara doğru bu konu biraz daha derinleşti ve artık devlet destekli siber saldırılara doğru evrilmeye başladı. Yani iş bireysel motivasyondan çıkıp grupların bir araya geldiği, grupların da devletler tarafından kontrol altına alınıp illegal bir şekilde kullanılmak suretiyle farklı devletlerin altyapılarına saldırmalarıyla vuku buldu. Biz savaşı ikiye ayırıyoruz. Konvansiyonel savaş ve hibrit savaş diye. Konvansiyonel savaş dediğimiz savaş, kara, deniz, hava ve uzay ortamında gerçekleşen savaşın kendisidir. Ve bu savaşa hepimiz yaşımız itibariyle hali hazırda Ukrayna, Rusya, Türkiye'nin güneyindeki mevcut Suriye savaşı, İsrail ve Filistin arasındaki savaş olmak üzere konvansiyonel savaşları görüyoruz ve yaşıyoruz. Fakat konvansiyonel savaşlardan daha tehlikeli olan bir savaş türü var. Bu da hibrit savaş. Örneğin 8 Ağustos 2008 tarihinde Gürcistan'ın Ossetya bölgesinin Rusya tarafından işgaliyle başlayan süreç, konvansiyonel savaş unsurlarından hemen önce kendisini siber saldırılarla göstermişti. Şunu söylemek istiyorum. Rusya kara harekatını başlatmadan önce siber saldırı başlatmıştı ve Ossetya'yı elektriksiz bırakmıştı. Akabinde Ukrayna-Rusya savaşına baktığınız zaman, Ukrayna-Rusya savaşında ise Rusya yaklaşık 8 ay boyunca 400 bin askerini Ukrayna'nın doğusundaki Donbask isimli bir bölgede konuşlandırmıştı. Yani 8 ay ve 400 bin askerin bütün oradaki bulunma masraflarını ve kostunu düşünün. Fakat savaş başladıktan bir gün sonra, ilk harekattan bir gün sonra Ukrayna Dijital Dönüşüm Bakanı bir tweet attı ve dedi ki bir Telegram grubumuz var. Bu Telegram grubuna dünyadaki bütün hackerları Rusya'ya karşı birlik olmak için çağırıyorum, Ukrayna'yı savunmak için. Ve bakın, bu bence iletişimin en iyi örneklerinden biri. Tek bir Telegram kanalında bir gün sonra 85 bin hacker vardı. Ve 85 bin hacker Rusya'nın altyapılarına yönelik ciddi bir harekat başlatmışlardı. Yani siz 400 bin askeri 8 ay boyunca sahada tutmak için inanılmaz bir çaba sarf ederken, diğer tarafta 24 saat içerisinde 85 bin, takip eden 72. saatte ise 250 bin hacker o Telegram grubunda ilgili oradan verilen hedeflere yönelik saldırılar gerçekleştirmiş idi. Ve savaş 5 boyut. Kara, deniz, hava, uzay. Biz uzay uzayının da hemen üstünde artık bütün bu savaş unsurlarının dışında yapay zeka destekli bir savaş alanıyla karşı karşıyayız. Yani insanın şu an fiziksel olarak olmadığı, aslında şu an yarı yarıya insan makine destekli olan ama bir sonraki aşamada insanların olmadığı ve makinaların sadece belirli bir patern ekseninde hareket ederek kendi hedeflerini belirledikleri ve o hedefledikleri hedefleri devre dışı bıraktıkları bir savaş ortamıyla karşı karşıya kalacağız ve bunun ilk etkilerini hali hazırda görüyoruz. Ben şimdilik kısaca bir nokta koyayım. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Mahir. Could somebody actually help me with the translation box, because this one doesn't seem to be working, which is rather unfortunate. But we'll see if we can get a new one of those. Thank you for that. Let's turn to Monica now. Now you work for the Digital National Alliance Bulgaria. You were telling me you work with a lot of young people. It's all about skills, education, and particularly misinformation. So if you'd like to give the audience a little insight into your insight into this AI cybersecurity driven area.
All right, so thank you everyone for having me. I'm quite honored to be here, and I would like to express once again my most sincere gratitude to all the organizers, all the wonderful staff, all the people who have been helping us out throughout the entire time. You have been incredible, and I know how much it is and how difficult this work is, so thank you so much for that. You're incredible. Yes, let's clap for the organizers a little bit. Thank you so much. So yes, my name is Monica Manolova. I'm a PhD in Geographic Information Systems. I work with a lot of organizations actually, not only my Digital National Alliance, but the Digital National Alliance is the one that I'm most passionate about because it is a part of the EU Skills and Jobs Coalition, and it is based on the core values that digital technology should be accessible and understood by everyone and everywhere, regardless of their gender, social status, economic status, regardless of whether they're based in rural areas more or in large cities and towns. It is about understanding, comprehension, and literacy, and it is based in the core values that technology should be accessible to everybody, and everybody should be allowed to understand what is happening on the back end of it. And I think the discussion we're having here today is quite important because cybersecurity can be analyzed in two different aspects. First is the explicit cybersecurity threats that are under the purview of experts, that are cybersecurity analysts, white hackers, people who understand the themes. There are multiple databases of patches in the world that are connected with cybersecurity organizations across the globe. And for every single software that we use and we utilize every single day, there are vulnerabilities that can be analyzed, patched, secured. There are strategies to be deployed. There are ways in which you can teach actual experts in the industries how to recognize phishing, smishing attacks, man-in-the-middle attacks, all of those interesting things that happen. It is still a very vulnerable world in the digital space. Like hack attacks happen every single day. There are thousands, even millions of them. And around the holidays, it is always the most difficult time, so be mindful of your devices around the holidays this year as well. Make sure that you have dual authentication, make sure that you are very well protected and secure with your devices. The second and more important bit, which is in relationship to what we are doing here with regard to communication and artificial intelligence, is the implicit dangers. So what artificial intelligence is great at is manipulation. It is the biggest manipulation engine that we have ever developed. Why? Because it adjusts to our emotions. It responds to us in the way in which we direct it. It is the best salesperson in the world because it can match up our desires and it can adjust itself to what we want to do in our daily lives. Which is why we are currently opening up further vulnerabilities in the ways in which we interact with technologies just because we rely so much on artificial intelligence. The most scary thing about the generative AI boom and the revolution that is happening across the globe right now, for me, was when they decided that they wanted generative artificial intelligences to replace search engines. All right, so with search engines, we already have algorithms on the back end that already point us to the results that are most popular, most interesting, that are the famous ones for the region where we are at, and there are algorithms that manipulate our perceptions of the world. So you can be living in a region and you can be looking at the computer screen and you can be seeing a completely different reality than people living across the globe are seeing. And that is the world in which we live in right now. Artificial intelligence is going to make that even worse. It's going to become more difficult to recognize what is real and what is not. In the last year, we organized this Global Alliance for Digital Education and Sustainability. It's very important to add that at the end of it. And it is my fundamental belief that we're going to do a lot of great work with that alliance because it is diverse, it is multicultural, it includes people from different walks of life, it includes young people, it includes people of the elderly, old ages. It includes people from Asia, North America, South America. It includes a diverse set of experts in different domains, not only technical, but social sciences as well. And in this transdisciplinary group of experts, I believe that we can discover some actionable solutions. Because what we did in this last year, and we presented that at the UN Summit of the Future as well, along with our friends, we did an analysis of the currently existing challenges. And the first challenge that arose out of our discussions was misinformation as the highest priority challenge. Why? Exactly due to this. Many of us are aware of artificial intelligence, but there are not many of us that are literate in it. And the fact of the matter is that you can be digitally literate, you can operate well with technology, you can use all the different softwares, and you can still be AI illiterate. You cannot, it is impossible, even for the utmost AI experts, grandfathers of the technology, everyone will tell you. We still don't know how some of these algorithms operate. So it is important to be mindful of this, especially in the currently mass communication society that we exist in, where social media prevails, where we are connected in a million and gazillion different ways. We receive our news from everywhere, and we receive most of them online. So we need to be mindful of these things, and we need to recognize that it isn't always the utmost truth that we are seeing on our devices. And we should always look for at least, like this is scientific as well, when you're trying to seek the truth in digital, always look for at least 2 more sources of information, not just the one that you're seeing on your device, that the algorithm is spewing in front of you. And don't over-rely on artificial intelligence because it matches up to your emotions. And this is the last point that I want to make on this short intro. In 2021, I published an article for the Applied Ethics in the Digital World publication in IGI, where I said that there are a bunch of difficulties concerning technology, but the biggest difficulty and biggest threat that we are currently facing is the fact that humans are emotional, every single one of us. It is not just the vulnerable groups that we recognize, like children, the elderly, people with difficulties in reading and understanding technology. It is everyone. We are all emotional beings, and this is a huge threat for us right now that we need to navigate, and we need to learn how to work around, because it provides incredible opportunities. I believe in that. I am a tech optimist. I believe that AI will change the world. It will accelerate economies. It will help us out a lot. It will produce a lot of added value and benefits for everybody. But at the same time, we need to be mindful of the backside of it and the dark side of it. And this is what I also like to use with regards to what my colleague just said about the conflicts and the hybrid threats. They say in warfare, they say dual use technology. You should always mark that up, and you should be mindful of it in your projects, in your research. But I can say, and this is something, every single technology that you use can be dual use. Every single application, everything on your phone, every single one of those can both help you and harm you. So be mindful of that, and let's take it back to the discussion.
Thank you, Monica, for that. I'm sure we'll come back to that question of misinformation, and particularly young people, I think, because if we are in the future, we need to talk to the future now and get involved with their thoughts on it. But if I can just come back to Mahir, the level of threat that is faced now by communications and the clients that you work with, how is AI helping on a practical level in thwarting attacks? And maybe you can give us a sense of the scale of the issue at hand and actually how it plays out in real terms.
For me, I'm continuing to my own language again also. Yapay zekanın siber güvenlik alanındaki pratik kullanımları ile ilgili şu örneği vermek istiyorum. Normal şartlarda siz GPT'ler üzerinde herhangi bir saldırı vektörü geliştiremezsiniz. Yani ChatGPT veya benzeri GPT'ler üzerinde bana şöyle bir saldırı yöntemi geliştir veya bana şöyle bir saldırı vektörü geliştir diyemezsiniz. Çünkü etik ilkeler gereğince GPT bunu engelleyecektir. Fakat tümden gelim yaparak saldırgan olsaydı böyle bir yöntemi nasıl kullanırdı diye sorduğunuzda GPT bence şöyle kullanırdı diye tahmin üretmeye başlar. Dolayısıyla GPT'yi aldatabilirsiniz. Yani karşınızda bir yapay zeka var fakat bu yapay zeka ürününü de aldatabilirsiniz bir insan olarak. Ben konuya şöyle bir örnek vererek başlamak istiyorum çok hızlı. pratik örnekleri vereceğim. İkinci Dünya Savaşı sonrası Alan Turing'in BBC ile yaptığı bir röportaj var. Bir psikiyatristle Alan Turing'in beraber olduğu bir konu bu. Orada şöyle bir soru geçiyor. Psikiyatrist Alan Turing'e diyor ki beni diyor tek bir şartla diyor makinaların düşünebileceğine inandırabilirsiniz. Alan Turing'in iddiası şu, bombe makinesini yapan, 2. Dünya Savaşı'nı bitiren adam aslında. Alan Turing'in iddiası şu, bir gün makineler düşünebilir. Aslında bu soruyu 1876 yılında soran biri var ve bir kadın İngiltere'de. Bu hanımefendi Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace'ın bir makalesi var, makineler düşünebilir mi diye. Aslında konu buradan başlıyor. Sonrasında bizim ülkemizde çok önemli bir matematikçi, ordinarius profesör Cahit Arf 1940'lı yıllarda o da bu soruyu soruyor ve makalesini yazıyor. Makineler düşünebilir mi diye. Alan Turing'in iddiası şu, makineler düşünecek. Psikiyatrist şunu söylüyor, diyor ki beni tek bir şartla makinelerin düşünebileceğine inandırabilirsiniz. Bir gün bir erkek makina bir dişi makinenin bacağını cinsel dürtülerle sıkarsa o zaman makinelerin gerçekten düşünebileceğine inanırım diyor. Alan Turing de diyor ki bu en basit kısmı diyor. Bunun devamı olacak diyor. Bir gün diyor sokakta bir kadın robot köpeğiyle gezerken robot köpeği ikisinin resmini çekip o kadının en son görüşmüş olduğu ve ilgi duyduğu bir erkeğe, bu kısmı ilginç, bu fotoğrafı gönderip biz Hyde Park'ta yürüyüş yapıyoruz diyecek. Yani insanın düşünce yapısına ve düşünce sistematiğine kadar etki edecek bir durumdan söz ediyoruz ve bunun büyük bir kısmı gerçekleşmiş durumda şu an. Elon Musk'ın beyne yerleştirdiği ve düşünceyi okuyabilen chipsetleri buna en güzel örnek. Yapay zekanın siber güvenlik alanında aktif olarak kullanıldığı yöntemler şunlar. 2022 yılında Kanada Vancouver'da yapılan bir AI vs. AI isimli bir zirvede kendi kendine bir zararlı yazılım geliştirip hedef makineye implemente eden bir sistem ile karşı tarafta bir makine öğrenmesi algoritması tarafından geliştirilmiş, yani bir yapay zeka tarafından geliştirilmiş zararlı yazılımı anlayabilen ve buna karşı anlık yöntem geliştiren yine bir yapay zeka uygulaması, makine öğrenmesi tarafından bir uygulama geliştiren bir yapay zeka yarışması yapılmıştı. AI vs. AI diye. Bu yarışmanın galibi saldıran taraf olmuştu. Çünkü bu işin dinamiğinde hem insan hayatında, insan doğasında hem de makinelerin doğasında ofansif taraftakilerin her zaman bir adım önde olduğuna dair yadırgayamadığımız bir gerçeklik var. Çünkü saldıran taraf her zaman daha avantajlıdır. Bu bir makine de olsa, bu bir insan da olsa. Kendi ülkemden örnek vermek istiyorum. Fiziksel sahadan, konvansiyonel sahadan. Ülkemiz 35 yıldır bir terör örgütüyle mücadele ediyor. Ve terör örgütünü 35 yıldır sayısını azaltsak bile bitiremedik. Bunun siyasi, politik, bürokratik argümanları vardır. Fakat işin stratejik tarafına baktığınız zaman onlar sahada gezerler, hareket halindedirler ve hiç durmazlar. Dolayısıyla sürekli hareket edenlerin avantajı daha fazladır. Çünkü siz bir devlet olarak güç ikame etmek zorundasınız. O gücü belirli bir yerden bir yere sevk etmek sizin için her zaman daha zordur. Mali olarak dezavantajlıdır. Tedbirler almanız gerekir. Ama karşı tarafın, yani saldıran tarafın böyle dertleri yoktur. Dolayısıyla hareket halinde olan ve saldıran tarafın her zaman argüman sayısı daha fazladır. Savunan tarafın ise en az saldıran kadar hareket halinde olması gerekir ki saldırganın en son gerçekleştireceği saldırı yönteminden bir tık daha önde hareket edip o saldırıyı bertaraf edebilsin. Pratik örneklere gelecek olursak, demin Abdullah Hocam bahsetti. Siber güvenlik tarafında biz savunmayı katmanlara ayırıyoruz. Bunun içerisinde antivirüsler, EDR'lar, DLP'ler, CDR'lar, NDR'lar, yaklaşık 20'ye yakın savunma odaklı ürün var. Ve şu an siber güvenlik sektöründe dünyadaki bütün üreticiler klasik öğrenme yöntemlerinin dışında makine öğrenmesiyle herhangi bir zararlıyı tespit edip önceden algılayabilecek algoritmalar ve yöntemler geliştiriyorlar. Benim kendi şirketimde de ben bunu yapıyorum. Ve şu an dünyadaki birçok şirket bunu yapıyor. Çünkü Bu normal şartlarda kas gücüne dayanan bir şeydi. Yani siz bir zararlı yazılımı bir malware analiste incelettirdikten sonra onunla ilgili indicator of compromise dediğimiz tehdit vektörü göstergelerini çıkarttıktan sonra ilgili savunma sistemine, bu bir firewall olabilir, bu bir CM olabilir, bu bir başka bir güvenlik ürünü olabilir. Bunları implemente edip, bak bu casus yazılım veya zararlı yazılım bu sisteme bulaşmak isteseydi, bunun tehdit göstergeleri bunlardı demeniz gerekir. Ve bu kas gücüne dayanan bir şey. Ama şimdi büyük üreticiler ve makine öğrenmesini kullanmayı bilen ve becerebilenler artık bu analizleri makinalara yaptırıyorlar. Dolayısıyla bir insanın bir günde ortalama bir casus demeyelim. Bu arada ben casus yazılımlarla ilgili kendi uzmanlık alanım. Zararlı yazılım diyelim. Bir zararlı yazılımı özellikle kategorize ediyorum. Devlet destekli, Advanced Persistent Threat dediğimiz gelişmiş kalıcı tehdit grupları tarafından hazırlanmış bir zararlı yazılımı bir insan analistin analiz etmesi ortalama 5 ila 7 gün arasında ortalama. Bu saldırının boyutu ve saldırganın kullandığı gelişmiş teknik yöntemleri de işin içine katarsanız bazen 1 ay, 2 aya kadar uzayabilir. Çünkü insan gözüyle bunu analiz etmek zorundasınız ve bunu ayıracağınız zaman yine bir insanla ilgili. Dolayısıyla o zararlı yazılım siz onu analiz ettiğiniz süre içerisinde farklı yerlere bulaşabilir. Çünkü tespit edebileceğiniz argümanlarınızın sayısı çok az. Ve sonrasında yapay zeka işin içine girince bu analiz süreleri 5 günden, 7 günden, 20 günden 1 güne, 2 güne ve 1 saate, 2 saate varana kadar inmiş durumda. Dolayısıyla artık saniyeler içerisinde geliştirilmiş çok kuvvetli bir zararlı yazılımı yine saniyeler içerisinde tespit edebilecek karşısında bir yapay zeka uygulaması göreceğiz ve bu çok yakında olacak. Thank you so much. Teşekkür ederim.
Yeah, and you talk there about the efficiencies, and that is really one of the huge selling points of AI, isn't it, really? Is that something that, Andres, that you find that, as Mahir said, it's about getting ahead of the threats now, but you still need that human involvement in all of these things? Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Impression. Okay, absolutely. So that was great what you said. I see it exactly the same way. So earlier this year, I was attending a talk by an MIT professor. I unfortunately forgot her name, but she was studying genetic algorithms that she specifically developed for adversarial situations. So you have a situation where two players are pursuing opposing goals. And this is what we see here in cybersecurity. You have the attacker's perspective and you have the defender's perspective. And what happens in such systems, so she gave the example with this old cartoon, you know, with the roadrunner and the coyote always coming up with completely bonkers ways of catching the roadrunner, and the roadrunner just trying to defend by using his speed. So basically this is what's happening. As you said, the attacker has an advantage because they can try out new things. And they will find exploits, they will find means to get into your system, to mess with your system, and to misinform you, to make you, make wrong decisions. So they will have the upper hand. And eventually you will figure this out, you will find it out, you will defend, you will close that door, you will have the upper hand, but they again will find a new vulnerability and they will have the upper hand. So it's a game that is constantly evolving. And I think, to me, this is the strongest argument for starting looking into this, using AI, because if you don't do that, if you don't invest your time, if you don't investigate, if you're not vigilant, they will have the upper hand and they will remain having it. So therefore, we have to start doing these things. Now, how can machine learning be used? So as you said, threat detection, from the defender's perspective, machine learning, basically, it's very good at detecting patterns, detecting anomalies. So this is what you do. You study your data. So for example, we work in various use cases, but I told you initially, we're looking at critical infrastructure, like water distribution systems, for example. So you have an OT systems, an operations technology system, which is a network, and you have a simulated environment, a digital twin of a water network. So you have a reservoir, you have pumps, pipes, valves, and whatnot. And you have sensors that give you like flows, pressures, angles of opening of valves, and so on. And you know what's going on. And now from the attacker's perspective, you can try and mess with those sensor readings in order to attack the system, raise toxicity levels, stuff like that are things you can do, or flood a certain area. And from a defender's perspective, you would train on normal data of the system in order to detect when there is anomalous behavior going on. So when is it that your system or that your sensor readings tell you that something is off? That is what you want to do. And we use different strategies for doing that. For example, instead of modeling the whole system and having a cloud-based or centralized server that would run the analysis, we look at edge AI. So going down to small scale in certain topologically meaningful areas of the network, and there we would implement sensor networks and microcontrollers and run our machine learning models, neural networks, the like, on an edge device that is then responsible for the small area only. And because you mentioned sustainability, we saw extreme increase in energy consumption in terms of training, which went down tremendously. You're much faster on inference because the systems you're looking at are smaller, so you can respond more quickly. Now the problem here is though, if you do anomaly detection and you have your data that you train on, which is just data that is like the normal state data, and you would find everything that deviates, that's not necessarily robust, and from the attacker's perspective, you can try and make such subtle and graduate changes in the system that your machine would not pick that up. Like very, very quasi-static change the system, and it would not respond. It would fly under the radar of your detection algorithm. So again, in this adversarial idea, you can do adversarial training. So when you train your system, you don't only train it on good data, but you use data where malicious attacks have been occurring and going on. So you learn about them, you make your system more robust, and you make your system aware of a certain attack. So it's always going back and forth, and I think this is really what we have to do, in particular when it's critical infrastructure, because by other means you cannot protect it.
Indeed, and it's great hearing all about these systems and the solutions that you're building all the time, I guess.
Yeah.
But I wanted to really touch on, while we've got the time, Abdullah, you work in ethics about all of this. You work in the university sector. Big issues over things like human profiling, privacy, the P word. I mean, how does this all work when you're talking about this sort of in-depth system building to try and fight off these kind of attacks?
Okay, so privacy is huge concern of cybersecurity. It's one of the main concern. So human profiling is actually quite important, and we need to address that. The thing about, I want to share one story actually. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, we had a social media trend. Maybe some of the people in the audience tried that. So the trend was open ChatGPT, type based on my previous searches, draw my picture, right? I'm sure some of you at least tried. So the thing is, people share these images and these pictures, and they were all telling, this is amazing. This just shows me it is perfect representation of me. And this is a fun conversation topic with your friends and stuff, right? Okay, now in cybersecurity, we have a term which is called ethical hacking. So if you want to fight with the hacker, you need to think like them. So, okay, let me be the bad guy and explain, show you out of picture way, think about how the hacker can use these things. First of all, actually, not before that, I want to explain one thing. This type of human profiling is actually happening all the time in the industry. For example, big tech companies, they are doing that for targeted advertisement. And I mean, previously, we saw that with Cambridge Analytica case. Majority of the people think that President Trump won first election with the main help with Cambridge Analytica, and they were just AI company specializing with the human profiling. The main idea, if I know you, I can convince you to do something. And this is actually, this is called emotion hacking. So if I know you, I can play with your emotion. If you care about, let's say, economy, I can show you all economical plans, all the things. If your main concern is racial injustice, I can directly show you, there is no point showing you, I will build this infrastructure or will do this or that. No, I will directly show you, okay, I will solve the racial profiling by just doing this and this. So human profiling, can be good, can be not good, but it's definitely a huge violation of privacy. So, okay, hacker mindset. I want to think about your password selection. I mean, if you don't use any password manager, usually in human mind, I mean, whenever we register the websites, we usually have 2 or 3 passwords and we use the combination of that password, right? So everyone does it. Otherwise, I mean, it will be impossible to remember which website, which credentials, and so on.
I think we're all struggling with passwords, aren't we? Let's face it.
Exactly. Okay, so another human psychological way. Okay, how do you choose your password? It should be something easy to remember for you, not anyone else, just for you, right? So if I can create a profile of you, I can easily detect your password as well. At least reduce the password prediction algorithms. Right now, I mean, think about like if I don't know you, I need to try every possible password combination, which we call brute force attack. It will take lifetime to crack your password because it can be anything. But if I know you, I can reduce my search space significantly, and then I can just predict your password based on yourself, because your password will be related to you. So hackers can think like that. So human profiling, huge privacy issue, yes, and also in terms of the security perspective, it can be very big. So in cybersecurity, actually, we have a saying, the weakest link of any cybersecurity stuff is human. So always we will attack, like the hackers always will attack the human. That's why, like, I mean, even right now, check your email, probably you will receive some phishing attacks, some phishing emails, maybe some texts and so on, right? Always they will attack you first, because like the systems can be very secure, the algorithms are quite secure. There's no point of directly attacking a system unless you are doing some denial of service attacks or whatever. You will attack, like I will attack you. So for that purpose, if I can hack your password, then I can do lots of different things with that. I mean, maybe I don't care about your personal, let's say, I'm not trying to hack your Instagram account or like Twitter or whatever, but if I hack your work account, now I can access your work servers, and that will be devastating for the company. That's like how actually data leaks like happening. So this is, we need to be careful. AI is perfect for profiling, and one more thing, please be careful what you share online. Everything can be used against you. So that will be my point.
Yeah, really interesting you talking about that. And I want to bring Monica back in, because we mentioned earlier about misinformation, young people. They don't know any different in terms of how they've grown up. They've grown up with technology. This could be controversial, but are they too trusting now? Do they give away too much, perhaps? Sorry, I think we just got a problem with the audio there.
Is it on? Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
So I love young people, and I work with some of the brightest ones of them. We actually have this initiative which happens in Bulgaria that's run by some of my best friends. That's called Cyber. And people, younger people, older people, everyone basically gathers once every month on the first Tuesday of the month, and they discuss cybersecurity issues and challenges. And a lot of young people are very bright, and they want to learn more, and they want to become a part of the solution rather than become cheated by technology in the future. But the thing of the matter is that these generations, I was a part of this transition generation, which actually still had buttons on the phones, and I can remember having this very rudimentary phone that could only hold 2 songs, and it wasn't the center of my life in any way. And the next generations that are growing up currently, they grow up with their phones in their hands. It is the center of their universe. They are virtual friends and influencers that are more important to them than their actual physical human friends that are there with them in the room. That's why it is so important that when we educate young people, we provide them with the necessary tool set to deal with the threats of tomorrow, because those are also cybersecurity threats, and they're based in emotion and in profiling, as the colleague said. The truth of the matter is that many young people know how to use digital technology or have some understanding of how to do it. They're maybe even interested in coding, and some of them probably code better than me, to be frank. But very few of them actually understand AI. because of the thing that I mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence relies on algorithms that are on the back end, and what we actually describe as AI literacy, it actually means understanding what the model does without necessarily understanding the code, meaning it doesn't matter what you're studying, learning currently. You can be in the social sciences and humanities, and you still need to be able to understand how the models operate. And these are threats that are going to become apparent in 10 or 20 years that concern younger generations. We won't be able to see them now because they aren't active in the labor force, they aren't still active in society, but they're constantly being fed information, and the way in which they comprehend that information, the way it is served to them, and the way in which they interact with the world, that is a threat that's going to become apparent in the future. So we need to be mindful of those channels, and we also need to be mindful for the information that they receive and the reliability of that information that they're constantly receiving, because it plays on their emotions. And you'd be surprised by how much, you may not even be surprised by how much, but if you take a look at the percentages of depression rates, if you take a look at the percentages of misinformation rates among younger people, those are constantly growing every single year, they're multiplying. So the reasoning behind that, even without the fact that they get instant gratification with all of those algorithms and they're receiving constant hits of endorphin in their systems and they receive all of the stuff instantly, they still need to be aware of the dangers of that. And they need to be aware that emotional play, like profiling, like connecting with groups within their networks that can be playing on their feelings in an extreme fashion, those things need to be also connected with their education. Constant education, every single stage of education, from the youngest to the oldest generations, constant awareness that the digital world is a part of our world now. It is inextricable, but the things that we are seeing may not be the truth. And this is where misinformation comes in, actually. You do not need to be a vicious actor. You do not need to be a hacker or an attacker. You can only be just dangerously misinformed, and that can threaten society profoundly. So let's try and deploy education first in those instances, because it is impossible for even my white hat hacker friends to be everywhere and to teach everybody. It needs to be everywhere and needs to be understood by everyone, and it is important. AI literacy, understanding the algorithms behind the play, and understanding how these social information streams work. I'm going to go.
Yeah, and I guess young people are also, they've got to be part of that solution as well to deal with some of these issues.
It doesn't,
and I'm sure that you're going to take them forward in this journey as well. Thank you, Monica. I just want to give, we're running out of time, but I just wanted to give a final word to Ellen. She wanted to talk about sustainability, the cost of these attacks, the power involved. So if you could just, briefly share with us, that issue.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Miranda. And that was a nice segue, actually, and I've really enjoyed this panel very much and learned a lot. But you're absolutely right, because no one has talked about sustainability at this conference, and I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to do so. I just came back from the COP, Miranda, COP 29 in Baku. I believe you were there as well, correct? Yeah. Well, I led a panel on decarbonization of industry, innovation, and clean tech. And of course, I want to also take this opportunity to salute, if there are any of my friends from Azerbaijan in the audience, to congratulate them on such a well-organized event. It was really fantastic to be there. I was there for a very short time, but I really enjoyed being there and leading this panel in the Green Transition Forum with a colleague of ours, a mutual friend, Monika Stanisheva. And what we did was, what I would like to do, to finish up, is to link what we're doing here with AI and cybersecurity to sustainability. Now, I want to ask you a couple of questions and see if we can come to some solutions or some answers on this. The first question is, can you deliver value to your customers while delivering sustainability? IKEA, for example, has built AI recommendations that can recommend products, for example, online that are sustainable. Number two, how can you improve your financial and sustainability performance by using these digital tools that we talked about, and yet reducing your carbon footprint? And that's the big challenge, right, Andreas? We were talking about it earlier, about the energy you need to run these AI systems. Question number three, can you reduce operational risks? We just heard about a number of these risks. And maximize resilience by embedding ESG investment. And I really don't have a lot of time. I do a whole course on investing in ESG, economic social governance, because the E in ESG screens investments for environmental risks, climate change, greenhouse gas emissions, waste management. We're not even talking about all the waste involved in this AI equation, and deforestation, et cetera, et cetera. Bain & Company estimates the losses from natural disasters could represent up to 4% of global GDP by 2050. Now, can you build an operational and supply chain twins that can see where we can get to economies of scales and identify and realize sustainability improvements while operations on these supply chains with sustainability metrics? None of this has been addressed in this conference about AI. The new model, maybe that we have to think about, Monica raised a great point. The Trocadero Forum Institute will bring together cybersecurity experts like yourselves, but also geopolitics, but also sustainability, lots of other subjects that are all linked together, maritime security, transportation, mobility, things like that. So it's all related. And finally, Miranda, fuel innovation, efficiency, and resilience. In entrepreneurship, I'd like to mention that the Vice President, Cevdet Yilmaz, the Vice President of the Republic of Turkey, mentioned in his speech in the opening ceremony. And human-centric development by Dr. Abed Al-Razak Natshe, Minister of Telecommunications and Digital Economy of Palestine. Because by embedding sustainability from the start, businesses can meet carbon targets and lead the change towards a greener, tech-driven future. Miranda, the challenge is clear. Innovate fast, but do it sustainably.
Sounds good to me. Well, as you can see, a subject like this, it has many fronts. We could talk about it for many more hours, but I want to say thank you very much to the panel for joining us to talk about this. It's been an illuminating deep dive into this aspect of AI and how it fits into cybersecurity. Thank you very much, Abdullah Yassin Nur, Andreas Windisch, Mahir Yüksel, Monica Manilova, and of course, Ellen Wassilina. Thank you very much indeed.